Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the AEW Dynamite Review Modcast. We are here on what is technically, for me, the 4th of July, because we're recording this on a Thursday night if you're American, Friday morning if you're British. So happy early 4th of July to any Americans that deign to celebrate it this year. But we have something far more exciting than patriotic virtues to celebrate. We have Dynamite 300 to talk about. I am joined for this stellar show by the fashionably late to record this podcast as always. Dory, please introduce yourself.
Oh shit, is this not the Collision podcast? I was so excited to talk about well anyway.
Don't
Hi everybody. Very excited
has
actually to talk about Dynamite 300. It was a really great show. I'm really excited to talk about the main event, plus a lot of those multi-man matches, and some really exciting stuff to kick off the show. The vibes were immaculate throughout, so I'm super excited.
They really were. I saw someone online say that. Can you imagine at the first episode of Dynamite that A, it would have gone to 300 episodes, and B, that the main event of the 300th episode would be Kota Ibushi versus Kazuchika Okada.
Absolutely not.
Oh my god! And we will talk about that because everyone I know was incredibly nervous about that match, and
Yep.
not to spoil what we'll talk about later, we needn't have been. But we will kick off appropriately enough at the beginning. Um, just what I say before we start. Crowd immaculate throughout,
Yes.
loud, massive for a Dynamite. I think it's the first time for a non sort of special Dynamite they've hit 5,000 in a while.
Yeah, it makes sense too with it being in the Bucks' backyard. But great to see 5,000 strong, 5,000 plus, and they sounded like 8,000. So it was a great crowd all night long, and Collision apparently got a really good reception too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it is about. I suppose because it was in California. I think it was earlier on in the day, so I imagine
Yeah.
Collision. It probably finished about 9 o'clock in the evening for them. You're not
Yes.
going to get tired out like you would in on the East Coast, or
Correct.
heaven forbid if they ever tried to do Collision or Dynamite live in the UK. Jesus Christ. But yeah, just to get into it. Opening shot of the whole thing is obviously the main protagonist of AEW, Hangman Adam Page coming out. Amazing reception. As a friend of ours is want to say, if only there was some indication that AEW could give us that he's the guy.
Yeah, for sure.
But he gets things going. He says he's said enough about he says enough about Hangman. See, this is why we shouldn't record late at night. I always stumble over my words. But he's like, he knows that the Elite and the Death Riders are going to come for him. They're going to interfere no matter what. So we might as well lay all our cards on the table and make it a Texas death match, which I have been clamoring for since the beginning. I want to say because,
Yes.
like, there is a consistent theme in Jon Moxley's title reign so far, which is if you make him do a straight singles match, it tends to, especially in the main event, it tends to be kind of crap. If you give him a plunder match, he fucking runs with it. So, regardless of the booking or the story or whatever, this is a massive improvement in my excitement for the actual match itself.
Yeah. I mean, I think Hangman would have gotten, a 4-star or something out of him, but I agree that generally speaking, Moxley is better in plunder matches. I mean, it makes sense, right? Ever since he started up in a lot of the extreme promotions, CZW, especially. He showed up in GCW a couple times, and fought Nick Gage. And some of his best matches in the other company often were ladder matches or big crazy plunder matches. So
Exactly. Except for the Ambrose Asylum, we don't talk about that.
Yeah, except for that. I wasn't watching wrestling then, but yes, I've heard tales. But, either way, I screamed, I yelled, I was very excited for this. I was nervous that they weren't gonna do it at this point because, it's we had, like, 10 days, when this got
Mm.
announced, so I thought that they weren't gonna do it, and I was like, "It's in Texas, it makes perfect sense." Now, one issue I did have with this whole thing is at first, when Moxley started responding, he was like, "You're not gonna survive Texas Death. That's not something you would win against me." And I'm like,
He has.
has Mox been hit in the head too many times? Like, does he not remember a couple years ago? Like, I know the 2020s have felt like a million years, but it was only a couple years ago, John.
Mm.
Um,
Do
but
you know what's
eventually,
funny as well?
yeah,
You know what's funny as well about that? For
yes.
my money, that's the best John Moxley match of all time.
Mm,
And like that also inordinately increased my excitement for this match because Hangman Page in the Texas Death match against John Moxley has pulled the absolute best out of John Moxley. Also worth mentioning, just while we're on the subject of Texas Death, um, it's worth reminding our audience of the rules of Texas Death matches. Um, it's almost like a last man standing match in sort of WWE terms, but with the added caveat that you can tap your opponent out, which happened a couple of years ago, as you mentioned. Hangman,
right.
he hanged Mox, and Mox tapped out. And I have to imagine it can't end. This whole thing cannot end with a shit 10 count, right? He has to tap him out again.
I mean, I gotta think if Mox is willing to do that once for Hangman, he's willing to do it again. He's been on record saying he loves wrestling Hangman. Hangman's one of his favorite people to wrestle. I mean, it shows. I think this is their fourth match together. We've already done the numbers in a previous episode, so we don't need to
Hmm.
run it back. But eventually, Mox and the Death Riders came in. They tried to attack Hangman. Eventually, the Ops helped out, and Hangman basically said, "Is that the best you've got?" And called Claudio, I quote, "a neutered lapdog," and said that he was still standing. I think we get that Claudio Hangman match next week. That's my prediction.
That would be an excellent go home, an excellent go home match for this whole thing.
Right.
Um, I was just thinking like what was the go home for All In last year, and I was like, oh yeah, I was there. And we got Okada versus Claudio on that match, on that show. It was absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
Um, so it does not that Tony can't. Well, maybe Tony can't thinks like this, but there is precedent of Claudio being the go home match for the big show of the year.
No.
Because I can't imagine unless it's in the gauntlet that he gets on the show any other way.
Yeah. Well, I do want to
Um,
congratulate Claudio on coming back. Quickest turnaround from the Fed I've ever seen in my life. So good job, buddy. Only spent about
oh my
a night and a day and a night there, but good for him getting that paycheck.
stupid fucking discourse that was.
But yeah, this was great. And then it climaxed, if you will, in Hangman hitting Marina with a buckshot lariat that looked
Yeah, 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 yeah,
incredible.
yeah. I wanted to talk about this, yeah, because
Yes.
what's the word I'm looking for? The Death Riders come out as they always do. They brawl. Um, Hangman Page sort of goes down, but then fights off the Death Riders. And the Death Riders are walking away. Marina Shafir is still in the ring, or she's sort of hanging around. Tries to hit him with the briefcase. Hangman Page sort of takes it away. Um, Gets on the mic and says, "Look, you say that I don't have what it takes to be in Texas Death. You know I do. Blah 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 blah. Give me what I want. Um, just to prove, that I will do whatever it takes." He flips over the ropes, and I want to say something. This is going to be controversial. I watched the finish to the first time that Hangman won the title. Beating Kenny Omega. Um, Genuinely, Marina Shafir takes that buckshot lariat better than Kenny Omega did. She took it absolutely phenomenally. Because I really hope that coming out of the Death Riders, you get that focus on Marina Shafir because she is genuinely one of the most improved. Just in her entire presentation, her wrestling, her especially her sort of character and her charisma. I really hope that coming out of the Death Riders, she has a focus in the women's division because she has been really one of the unsung heroes of the whole main event scene for the last, 6 months? Cannot say enough good things about her.
Yeah, she's been doing a great job. As the kids would say, aura farming everywhere, and it's worked. She's getting radishes and carrots and tomatoes of aura farm. I don't know how this works. Somebody help me. But also, she's just even when she's been in the ring, she looks good. Like the few times she has been in the ring with Willow, especially, and I know Willow's very good at making anybody look good, but she has looked great and she's looked much more composed, much more sure of herself. Her suplexes and holds look a lot better. I've heard the work that she does on the indies looks pretty good too in Bloodsport. So yeah, I'm really happy for her. I always thought Marina looked really cool. She just had a very, very unfortunate promo and, a tag team with Nyla, who I miss dearly. Um,
Mm.
that didn't go anywhere and just didn't do anything for her. So I'm glad that she's getting another chance and she's killing it. So I completely agree. Hope she comes out of this looking even better. But I know somebody else who's gonna come out of that night, looking even better too, which is the CEO, Mercedes Moné. Because we had
Just oh, go on. No, I was
like
just
we
gonna
had
say I
the
just wanted to get
yeah. Go
I
ahead.
just wanted to get my shit in. I just wanted to get my
Oh yeah.
shit in. You want to talk, right? You want to talk about there's always discourse about, oh well, Dave Meltzer, he didn't give like 5 stars to Kurt Angle. He's never given 5 stars to, like, I don't know, who hasn't he? Roman Reigns or whatever. All the people that he's never given 5 stars to. Marina Shafir has a 5-star match. which is absolutely hilarious to me. Like, when you consider that for years, well, for forever, Dave Meltzer did not give 5 stars to women's matches in North America. He's given three. He's given three, women, or 2.5 women's matches 5 stars in America this year, and one of those was a Marina Shafir match. So, suck it, Kurt Angle. Marina Shafir is a better wrestler than you.
That's right, and a better technical wrestler too.
God damn right.
That's
Anyway,
right.
yes, I just wanted to say that because every time I think about it, it makes me laugh.
Speaking of
Um,
underrated technical wrestlers, let's talk about Mina Shirakawa versus Mercedes Moné. Does it work the second time, Adam?
it does work the second time. I appreciate you, sticking to the bit. Um, you can
But
never
this
let a
was
good
this
thing
was a
die,
great
can you?
match. I want to get this out of the way early. My only problem with this match should have been
Oh
longer.
boy,
That's it. I could have had it go another 10 minutes.
that's
I
true.
think it would have been excellent. But what we got was still great. I'm not mad about it. Just because it was the only women's match, I would have given this more time and maybe cut a little bit of the tag team segment. But that aside,
Mhm.
I'm very happy with what we got. I think Mercedes and Mina both showed out. But yeah, go ahead.
I think this. So Mercedes and Mina, they've had. Well, they've had like a three-way match with Azumi, which was brilliant, by the way. But
Yep.
this is only their second singles match, as far as I'm aware. Like, they had the other one in the Tokyo Dome, and then this one. I think this might be a little bit of a controversial opinion. I think this is better than the Tokyo Dome match. It doesn't. It obviously doesn't have the same sort of spectacle of you know that one being for both belts and stuff like that, and this one is on TV or whatever. But genuinely, I think that this match was excellent. I agree that maybe this should have had more time and there were things that you could have cut from the show. Controversial opinion. I might have cut the Swerve and Osprey match just
Ooh.
because I think it was a little. It's the weakest match on the show, and I think if you can cut that down, or even just have it like be a squash, even if you have it go like 2 minutes. I know you don't
Yeah.
necessarily want to squash La Facción Ingobernable, but then you don't book them. Book them on Collision.
Right.
But that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I would have liked for this to have been a couple of minutes longer. I think that it was good. It was very good. It could have been great if they had had a couple more minutes to build to that crescendo. I thought it finished a little bit suddenly. Um, but, I've been sort of quite vocal about not not liking the over reliance on small packages and stuff like that, especially in the women's division. You know, both of these women have really good submission finishes. I get that you don't want to tap out, you know, either of these two women, but I feel like Mina could. You could have tapped her out and she wouldn't lose anything here, and it would have made the statement maker, as it's called now, I believe. I don't want to call it the bank statement, but it is the statement maker.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. It could have made that, not that it needs any sort of build up, but it would have made that feel even more deadly, for All In when she inevitably knocks on Tony Storm. If, like, 10 days earlier, she tapped out Mina Shirakawa, who is a major star in the division. You say she's an underrated technical wrestler, and I agree, but I think she's getting to the point where she is adequately rated by people as being excellent at her job. I think you could have done that. But I'm not going
Yeah.
to complain too harshly about it. This was a really good match. There's a spot in this match. Mercedes Meteoras always look brutal. They always do. She's mastered it, and that's why she hits like 20 of them every match. I'm not mad about. But there's one in this match where she does it from the apron to the floor, and you watch Mina's head just bounce off the floor, and I physically like recoiled when I saw it. I don't know whether you remember this.
Yeah, I Mercedes hits a lot of them per match, which I'm fine with again because, like you said, they look really good and they look really effective, so I don't mind. I think that's one of the ones where I went, ooh, like, oh, that looked like it sucked. Um, I think one of my favorite moments of the match was when Mina hit the top rope sling blade. That was really
Mm.
cool. I don't think I've ever seen somebody do that before, so that was pretty neat.
No, I've never seen that before. And then after that, almost straight after that, she sort of hits her, elbows her or forearms her in the front, forearms her in the back of the head. Mercedes drops down, and she just kicks her
Yes.
fucking head off.
Oh, what a fucking kick. This was like Tajiri-esque buzzsaw kick.
Mm. It reminded me of at Revolution this year when she faced Momo Watanabe, where they just absolutely leathered the fuck out of each other.
Yes.
It
I
was like,
remember
oh,
I remember Mercedes the week after on Dynamite looking like looking real beat up.
yeah. And she couldn't even talk, if you remember. She had like a
Right,
bruised
right.
larynx or something.
Yep.
But like, yeah, this was brutal. This was a perfect sort of smorgasbord of everything that these women can do well. Like Mina Shirakawa, we talked about her being a really good technical wrestler, and there's some really good technical wrestling in this match. But she's also, I mean, she's spent most of her career in Stardom. She's not gonna not know how to kick your fucking head off. That's what they do. Like she is a quintessential archetypal Stardom striker, where it's just
Right.
like they figured out in Japan that the best way to trick people into thinking that you're hitting each other really hard is to hit each other really hard. You know what I
Correct.
mean?
Yes. I will say I never really thought, especially after Tony promised not to interfere. I mean, not really a babyface move anyway, I guess, come to think of it. But I never really thought that Mina was gonna win here. But when she hit that glamorous driver, I did bite. I was like, I think Mercedes is kicking out, but not many people have kicked out of the glamorous driver, so that'd be pretty big. And then of course she did. But um, yeah, this match was great. It was really hard hitting. It looked good in the ring. A lot of live show charisma. And
Of
there,
course.
after the match, Monet attacked Shirakawa. And then Mercedes did this great thing, which really could only work in so a ridiculous thing like wrestling. But she went to go check on her on Mina, and then just gets belted to the back of her head by Mercedes. So they're really doing this back and forth. Like every week, one of them gets the advantage on the other, and then Tony gets the advantage, and then Mercedes pulls something off. So
I've quite liked the build to this. I think they could have done a little bit more. Like there was a cake at ringside. What the fuck are we doing if nobody,
Right?
goes through the
That's
cake?
that's Chekhov's cake right there.
Yeah, I know, and I get you want to subvert the genre by not firing Chekhov's gun, but you gotta fire Chekhov's gun. You gotta put them through the cake. And I get the connotations with Tony Storm. It's one of the main things that people say. Oh well, WWE mistreated her. Look at the thing where she got what was it, pied in the face, I think, or you know.
Yeah,
I don't want. I almost said that she got cream pied, and then I thought, oh god, don't fucking say that on camera.
I'm sure she would have
Um,
loved that, but no.
oh dear, but yeah, I thought there was a little bit they could have done, but I do appreciate that the way they have set this up is that, like you say, it's a complete tete-a-tete every week. One a complete back and forth. Nobody knows who has the advantage, and I think that on a card where there are quite a few matches that I'm thinking, well, that's probably a foregone conclusion. This is very much one where I'm like, that could go either way, completely and utterly.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm still, I think 70-30. Mercedes is winning, but I do think there is definitely a non-zero chance that Tony retains, and then as some people have been fantasy booking, this begins Mercedes downfall. I don't think realistically that happens. I don't think you do that. I think it's better to give Willow the rub on that one instead of Tony. And if even
Mm.
though they're going to have both titles on Mercedes, you'll still have the tag titles, and you'll still have obviously a very active Mercedes Moné. So I still think it's risky. It is still not what I would have done, but there are ways to make it work ish.
Mm.
So we'll just have to see.
I do think that if Mercedes wins both belts, like I think back to when, not to invoke the WWE, but it's the best example I've got. When Becky Lynch won both belts, next pay per view she immediately dropped one, and I think yeah, that's what you should do
Right.
because you know you cannot have one person holding all of the gold on a show and not have the time where you can run that angle is very, very short before it starts becoming sort of a gaping hole in your storytelling on your show. So, I think if she does win both belts, I think I wouldn't mind if she just immediately dropped the world title again. Give her a short reign. Put someone over like Willow, maybe Athena, whoever wins the gauntlet can beat her, and
Right.
then she still has the longest run in the with the TBS title. I wouldn't mind that. But certainly, if she is going to win both belts, you need to get one of them off her within like 6 weeks. Give it 6 weeks. I'm just thinking like 6 weeks is about Forbidden Door time.
Right.
And I'm not just selfishly saying that she should drop one of the belts when I'm in attendance, but
It's just conveniently all matches up.
indeed. But
Well, look,
that's
I
just.
think we can all be very happy with that Tony Storm discussion. We talked about gaping holes and cream pies, so I think we're
Oh,
all
I'm
set.
sure she would. I'm sure she'd love that. Um,
All right. Well, I think we have the most important segment on the show next, Adam. The Young Bucks returning to their roots in Rancho Cucamonga. Still can't believe that's a real name. And apparently, Nicholas Matthew bought Nicholas a custom limousine. Said he went on a shopping spree with the company card. I wish I could do that. And then uh, Tony Khan bought him it. So good for Tony Khan. Nice of him to do it. And yeah, the whole limousine, I guess, had a bunch of Young Buck sneakers over the years, which was incredible. They went to a middle school, I guess, and that they used to go to when they were kids. And yeah, I mean, they said that there's nothing like hopping in a stretch limousine, driving around your poor old community, and just flaunting your wealth. So I mean, that's good stuff. Good stuff from our
one
extremely violent people in charge.
one day, um, one day I will drive around here with ridiculous money and just rub it in everyone's face. Like a good socialist should.
I know,
Um,
champagne socialist indeed.
um, but yeah, after this, we came back, I believe, from an advertising break, and we had the qualifying. They call it a qualifying match, and yet I can't help but feel like most of the people in these qualifying matches will yet still be in the gauntlet. So really, it's just a match for the number 2 spot. Um, so this is for the number 2 spot, which they put over on commentary is just as important as the number 1 spot, which I do appreciate because for example, in the Royal Rumble, it always felt like they put inordinate emphasis on the number 1 position, and I would always think as a kid, well, number 2 is just as good because you're starting at the same time. But
Right.
you know, I appreciate that someone has realised. Oh yeah, that's right. We should we should make sure to tell people that. But this match was really really good.
Yeah, totally agree. This was super, super fun. I want to say before I forget that MJF is his delight, and I love him. I will always defend him. He was incredible in this match. The young genius had lots of amazing strategic insight, which was A, avoid Brody King, B, wrestle as little as possible, and C, hide behind the Hurt Syndicate / the announcers when cornered. All of which added up to a very successful formula for him. But seriously, this was such a super fun match. Everybody knew Brody and AR Fox was going to bring it. MJF is always hilarious. There's some fourth guy, I don't remember who. And I'm sorry.
Wow,
I like Anthony.
homophobia.
I like Anthony Bowens, and he's ditched Billy, and he's emphasizing the pride of pro wrestling a little more. So I am actually, and I think he looked good here. So I'm actually,
It's
it's fine.
it's the best Anthony Bowens has looked since the return. When was it? Dynasty? You were there. I mean, yeah.
Yes, I was there.
It's the best he's looked since then. I'm still not sold on the whole thing. I got to be honest, which is a
Yeah,
disappointment, really. Who would have thought, sort of, 6 9 months ago, that indisputably the person that looked the best coming out of the Acclaimed breaking up would be Max Caster.
I unfortunately do remember a member of the community saying that, and I hate that he was right. But yeah, good job for you. Um, but yeah, I every time I see Bowens, I'm like, but can we see Max? Like,
Yeah,
it's
it's like
it's without fail. Every time I see him, I'm like, but I think I'd rather have Max in this spot. We are
yeah,
getting a
I feel
Max Caster challenge on Saturday, which I'm very excited for.
I feel bad about it.
I know.
Because he's the sort of guy that's like, I really want to like you. I really want to get invested in you, but there's something missing. It's
Yeah.
too, it's too generic, which is
Yes.
unfortunate.
I
But
think
it's like,
honestly, I think once he goes heel and maybe um, rejoins Max, I think really they will be in a better situation for both of them. I would love to see. I mean, originally, I don't know how many people remember, but they were heels. I
mm.
know some of their work back then was questionable, to say the least, especially with Julia. But for if you know, you know. But
Oh Jesus Christ!
regardless, yeah, I will never forget that. But regardless, it was still some of their best work, and they turned face for a reason because the fans just started really loving them and digging their gimmick. So I think returning to the roots, coming back as heels with Max as the best wrestler in the world, and the pride of pro wrestling being, I don't know, the fucking wrath of pro wrestling. I don't know. Just turning heel and having more of a character and getting more mic time, and I don't know. I think that's why these two really worked as a team, is because, and I'm not saying anything groundbreaking here, I know others have said this, but Max is the face of the group and Anthony's the wrestler of the group, and that's really both of their strengths, and they balance each other really well. There's a reason why they worked super well as a tag team, and I don't think it was a mistake to break them up when Tony did, I should say. But I think it would be a good idea to eventually bring them back together and realize that they need each other, but that they're both assholes and that they don't need Billy Gunn. So get rid of Billy Gunn, become
Yes.
heels, get rid of the scissoring shit, because I don't really care about it anymore. And I don't even care about the Outrunner son of a bitch thing anymore. So just get rid of the scissoring thing. and come up with something else. Maybe something that makes fun of scissoring. I don't know. But yeah. Anyway, this was a great match. We should talk about that, not the Acclaimed.
Yes, agreed.
Brody
First
looks
of all,
fucking phenomenal. Go ahead. I
yeah,
was just going to talk about Brody.
that's exactly what I was going to say. Brody
Nice.
King is absolutely like he's just incredible. Not as in like the ECW guy, but he is phenomenal. I cannot say good enough things about Brody King, and it's not just because he is excellent, sort of outside of the ring. Shout out God's hate. Um, but in the ring, I don't know a big man in wrestling today that can move and put on an incredible match like he can. It's shocking to me that out of the three people of the House of Black, that King is by my measure some distance the best wrestler of the three right now. I'm not super tuned into what Malachi or Alistair Black is doing nowadays, and obviously Buddy's ankle has exploded. But even before it exploded, I still think that Brody is the best wrestler of the two.
Yeah. I would
Um,
agree.
and and this,
I don't think that's super controversial. Brody's been the best in the group for a while now, which is so funny because when he originally joined, I was like, "Wow, this guy looks cool," but like, who the hell is he? And yeah,
yeah,
over the
yeah,
past year or two, he's really become one of my favorites.
yeah, absolutely. I would not be mad at him getting like even I'll go as far to say, and I'm not the first person to say this in our sort of friend group. I go as far to say I wouldn't mind having a short world title run with Brody
Yeah,
King, or at the very least, perhaps he challenges and wins this new sort of unified championship that the reports are saying they want to promote as like a quasi world title.
right. Yeah, I think there's a perfect trajectory to Darby eventually getting that title and then Brody winning it off him. And
Yes,
I think that's easy. It makes sense. It's believable. They have a big rivalry, so it'll feel huge. And they're both good friends with each other by any accounts I've heard of. So I don't think one or the other will have trouble putting the other over. Obviously, they haven't so far. So yeah, I definitely would see that. Love the cannonballs that Brody did in this match. He looked so good.
every time he does it.
The Gonzo bomb that he did on Bowens looked amazing. He looked like he fucking killed Bowens.
Literally every time Brody King does something, whether it's like the splashes, with the chairs on the outside, whether it's the cannonball, especially the Gonzo bomb, I just think I die.
Yes.
There's absolute no. I genuinely no wrestler on the roster has a move set, and especially the physique to pull off a move set that looks as lethal as Brody King. Because even his setup moves are a 300-pound big man running full pelt at you and just flattening you, and then he picks you up and picks you up like 7, 8 foot in the air and dumps you on your fucking neck. Like, yeah, that's death, pure and simple. What more do
Yeah.
you want? But obviously he hit what's the word I'm looking for? Anthony Bowen. Sorry, I really should remember these wrestlers' names. But if I was going to forget anyone in this match, it would be Anthony Bowens. I'm sorry. But AR Fox breaks it up. AR Fox, by the way, just to briefly say, on the redemption tour of his life.
Yes.
He
Yeah.
is. I'm very glad that he has weaseled his way out of Guantanamo Bay, because
Yes. Good job.
he's too good a talent to not have on TV, frequently.
I think, by the way, and I'm not calling this out because I fucking care about botches, but because I think it's one of the few times I've ever seen AR botch, which is when he was trying to do the jump over the top rope thing, where he stomps them on the outside from the inside.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, he had a great performance here. It looked really good. The crowd was really behind him.
I also
Ultimately, unfortunately, he was here to lose. Gets put in the Salt of the Earth submission from MJF. taps out pretty quickly. Everyone else has already been hit by, finishing moves. And so that ends the match with MJF locking up with Briscoe at the beginning, which will probably set into motion their rivalry.
Absolutely. I just want to put over, by the way, before we move on from this match, I mentioned that AR Fox broke up the Gonzo bomb. He broke it up by diving off the top rope, but you can see the panic in his face because the referee starts to count, the pin, and he gets to 1. AR Fox is still climbing the turnbuckle. And I imagine that he probably wanted to set up, something a bit more sophisticated, like a splash or something to break it up. But he has no choice. He gets to the top. Referee's already counted the 1. He absolutely torpedoes himself off that rope to make it in time.
Yes.
It does not look sophisticated whatsoever. He just absolutely launches himself with no finesse whatsoever just to make the timing. Even just thinking about it now, it makes me crack up because it was just so plainly obvious that he had messed up the timing on it and thought, "Oh fuck, I just gotta go for it."
Right.
So
Good
he
shit.
just it ends up being like a flying headbutt almost to Brody King because he's like, I got nothing else, man. I just have to make it.
Yeah. Yeah, he did great here. I don't even I think he barely touched whoever was pinning who, but he still managed to hit him. It was good. It was good stuff.
Excellent. But yeah, like you said, after the match, Mark Briscoe comes out, says that him and MJF are 1 and 2, so they have then set up MJF to get an uninterrupted ass whipping in Dallas for at least the 90 seconds before someone else comes out. He said that next week, before the match, they're going to have a little talky talk. At which point, the crowd started chanting "talky talk" because
Yes.
this crowd loved to chant last night. They really did.
Yeah, the
Um,
Briscoe is so over at this point. He got empathy and pickles over last week. This week he's gotten talky talk over. I can't imagine not wanting to hear a Mark Briscoe promo.
no, I agree. He sounds like he's just that's just how he is. Like so many
Yes.
times you will see wrestlers, and even when they're really good promos, you could tell that it's like, oh well, that's not how they would talk in real life. But with Mark Briscoe, I fully believe like, no, that's just him. Same with
Yes.
I'll tell you who's really good at that as well is Will Ospreay. It just sounds like, yeah, that's just how he talks. Like that, it doesn't. There's no artifice with what he's saying or how he's saying it. That is just full on how Will Ospreay would talk. And every time Mark Briscoe gets on the mic, I'm just like, yeah, that's how a crazy chicken farmer from Delaware with 10 kids would talk to me. Like,
Yep.
yeah, I gotta put that over. Just a very authentic professional wrestler.
All right. Well, next up, so after that, I think
Yeah,
this
I
was
was
the
gonna
only
say we
weak
do. I
weak point of
agree.
the show.
I agree. Although what I will say about this is, some people at the time that we were watching the show with were being, for my money, willfully obtuse as to what they were watching. Like, oh, like you can criticize the angle itself, but there were people saying, oh, what the fuck is the point of this or whatever, and I'm like, the
Right.
point is plainly obvious for anyone to see. You can disagree as to whether it's effective or not, but the whole thing was that Jet Speed, Kevin Knight as Speedball Mike Bailey, who it's fairly obvious a challenge. I don't think it's officially been announced,
No.
but they're challenging the Hurt Syndicate for the tag titles in Texas. Come down and challenge, Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin to a fight. They get in the ring, they're fighting, and the Hurt Syndicate overpower them. Which they had taped up ribs and whatever. I assume that was
Yes.
my brain is foggy. I assume they got that at some point in the on
In the
like Dynamite
build. Yeah, yeah.
last
It
week.
happened at some
Yeah.
point.
But they leave them in a heap. They're sort of writhing around. Hurt Syndicate go to leave. They get back up. At which point MVP is like, "Oh, okay, wonderful, boys, go and kill him again." And they get in the ring, and surprise, surprise, they kill him again. Full on like, hitting ridiculous power moves on them. Like Bobby Lashley hits. I don't know what it's called in AEW. I just remember it was called the Dominator back when he was using it in like early WWE.
I think it's still called the Dominator, honestly.
But yeah, he hits the Dominator. Shelton Benjamin hits that ridiculous sort of step up knee in the corner that he does. That every time just looks like a complete knockout blow. Um, lays them out in a heap, even worse than last time. Um, and they go to leave, and they get back up again. At which point MVP says, "Oh my god, okay, boys, kill him again." I think it was 3 times, right?
It was 3 times. Yep.
Yeah, and it was at this point some people were like, "Oh, what's the point of this?" And the point was obviously that they will not stay down. They will not be beaten. They will not be
Yeah.
hurt.
This is the most obvious babyface booking of all time, right? I mean, they've even done this with Adam Page to some extent, right? They literally did it earlier in the night to a certain extent, right? Where he said that he was still standing. That was different, of course. They didn't come back. He had the ops to back him up. But here, Speedball and Jets and the Jet didn't have anybody to back them up. So they just kept getting killed. I mean, I'm still not super sold on like this tag program. I was very excited about it to begin with, but the build has been really weird, and I just don't know. I'm not as excited for the match as I want to be. Everybody in this match is incredible. I'm sure the match is going to be great at least, if not better. But at the same time, the build just hasn't been super strong. It still feels like Tony doesn't really care about the tag titles compared to all the other titles that get all this attention. I mean, hell, even I know it's Kenny and Okada, but still, even those belts are getting a lot more time in the sun, even before Kenny versus Okada. So
Yeah,
it just really still feels like the tag division isn't quite there. I feel like also we should be having a bigger match than just a. I mean, it probably is going to be a a threat tag match, like you said. But I mean, I'd do 4 tag teams. Like you have enough tag teams. I don't know where Paragon went. I don't know why Don Callis family aren't ever getting involved. Like, where are all the other tag teams that want the gold that should be competing against each other? It just
I
feels kind
think
of like a weird area.
I think at this point, like the tag division is in, especially the tag division surrounding the titles, has been in such a dire state for so long that you need either the two big ticket tag teams that you still have left, the Young Bucks and FTR. I know people are like, "Oh well, they've been hovering around the tag belts for years and years," and it's like, yeah, because they're the best tag teams on the planet. You either need them to come back and sort of breathe new life into this division, or you need some main event stars who aren't necessarily doing much to sort of, I don't want to say go down to the tag division, but lend some sort of star power to the tag division and sort of kickstart it into life that way. And
Yeah.
I think that might be something that they do, depending on the result of the Young Bucks versus Swerve and Ospreay, which we'll talk about later.
Yes.
Um, but you got to do something because I love Kevin Knight and I absolutely adore Speedball. Like, he's one of my favorite wrestlers in the world right now. But this whole program has sort of exposed once again the ineffi- the what's the word I'm looking for, the sort of the dearth of inspiration in the tag team division at the moment.
Yeah,
It
I
just it
agree.
just needs a spark. And regardless of what you think of sort of FTR and the Young Bucks hovering around the tag team titles again, that they have a proven track record of getting the division back on track and being a focal point for a division that really desperately needs a focal point that isn't just Bobby and Shelton, great as they are, beating lower mid card tag teams. Lest we forget, the last tag team defense they had on pay per view was against fucking Dustin Rhodes and Sammy Guevara. Like, what the
Yeah.
fuck are we doing?
Yeah.
I don't want to dwell on this because we have, especially going into the next match. We have a lot of really good shit to talk about.
Right.
But I just wanted to fire off a bit of a gripe bomb while we're here to just say, the rest of the card, the rest of the show is really excellent for my money. The best that AEW, the most consistently excellent AEW has been maybe ever. But there are still gaps that need to be addressed. And I don't want to be the guy that focuses 90% on the one bad thing and not talk about all the excellent things, so we'll move on. But we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the things that they can still improve on.
Right. Anyway, Adam, did you know
Yes.
that Superman's coming out July 11th?
I gotta be honest, until AEW started doing this thing, I really didn't.
Okay. Fair enough.
Look, I'm just not tuned into superhero movies
No,
anymore.
and that's
I've been,
fair. And I wouldn't be either because I'm usually pretty burnt out on that stuff. But James Gunn's directing, the trailers look good. I knew it was coming out soon, but couldn't remember when. But luckily, AEW's got us covered because they've got two different heroes versus villains tag match, and we'll talk about the first one right now. This one was a
we
killer.
will.
Young Bucks and
This
Takeshita. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say this might be controversial, especially given the main event. This might be my match of the night. It's co. I'll say co match of the night with this and the main event.
I agree
But
because main event and this one are very close for me.
this was a complete. Oh, we should say this is Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong, the Paragon, and Bandido, your Ring of Honor World Champion, who came out, by the way, fucking finally to new music. My God, we are free from that god awful knockoff Blue Monday bollocks. That
I have no idea what any of that stuff is. When you and Herons were really excited about it, I had no idea what we were so excited about. I was never bothered by his music, but I guess you guys had been bothered by it.
We really were. I'm sorry, but like
What
you've
is
got
Blue Monday? What is that?
Blue Monday is a song by a band called New Order, and do me a favor after we finish this show, go and listen to Bandido's old theme, like the first sort of 20 seconds of it, and then go and listen to the start of Blue Monday, and you will know exactly what I mean when I say that it is a knockoff Blue Monday, like shite. But this theme, I listened to it after the show. It's really good. I love the horns. I love the sort of the beat at the background that isn't kicking me in the face like the old one was. But yeah, I just wanted to put that over. Thank God they finally changed his theme and it's actually good now. But yeah, Kyle O'Reilly, Roderick Strong, and Bandido versus the Founding Fathers, your executive vice presidents for now, the Young Bucks, and the Alpha Konosuke Takeshita, who is he's perfect, isn't he? What more can you say about him? But this match, where do you want to start? Because this match was just brilliant.
This was ridiculous. Bandido's high flying moves were just awesome. The top rope Liger bomb that happened, just ridiculous. It was just I didn't even know how to fucking react to it. I was like, oh my God, that was this match, right? The Liger bomb from the top rope. I think that happened in this match. It could have been a different one.
I think it was this one.
Okay.
Not to be confused with the top rope Tiger Driver that we'll talk about later.
Right.
But yeah, this match it was a love letter to Pro Wrestling Guerrilla in every single possible way. You know, the 6-man tag, the fact that it was in Southern California, right down to the people that were in it. Like,
Yes.
if I'm not mistaken, I'm just going to check my facts here. I think a statistical majority of the people in this match have won the Battle of Los Angeles.
I thought you were gonna just say have wrestled in PWG because I would absolutely.
No, they've definitely all wrestled in PWG. But okay, Kyle O'Reilly has won it. Bandido has won it. Really? Oh, I'm surprised. I would have put money on Roderick Strong winning it. But he has been runner-up twice. Konosuke Takeshita was the runner-up of the last Battle of Los Angeles that they ever did.
Right? Didn't Mike Bailey beat him?
Yeah. Mike Bailey.
Yeah.
Mike Bailey won the last one. Just to run through all of the previous winners, you have Chris Bosch, who I regret to inform you I've never heard of, Davey Richards, Seema, Loki, Kenny Omega, Joey Ryan, ew, El Generico, hope he's enjoying his orphanages, um, Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, Ricochet, Zack Sabre Jr., Marty Skrull, ooh, Ricochet again, Jeff Cobb, don't know where he is, Bandito, Danny Garcia, and Mike Bailey. What a phenomenal smorgasbord of winners that is.
Nice. But
Um,
yeah, this match was awesome. I have I really had a good time with it. Look, I know I've said it before, but I'm gonna say it again. The best AEW is when it's basically three PWGs in uh a fucking trench coat. So I've really enjoyed any of those matches that are like that. And this was another example. So Bandito looked really good. Takeshita, the Bucks, I mean, still look amazing. They are really good throughout the match with all of their acrobatic moves. The Bucks hit a what at one time, like the Bucks hit their like their indie taker or whatever, or not the indie taker, but they were like, I think they hit the indie taker, and then fucking Takeshita did this amazing wheelbarrow German suplex, which
mm.
just looked really, really good too.
I
And
never know. I
eventually,
never know the difference. I never know the difference. Sorry, between the Indie Taker and the Meltzer driver.
I
Like,
think the Meltzer slash uh, EVP driver or Tony Khan driver or whatever it
mm.
is that one's from the top rope slash apron, and then the other ones and the indie takers from the sides. But I could be making that up.
Entirely possible. I mean, the Young Bucks have the deepest like the deepest bag of tricks, the deepest move set of any tag team in history, and it's not even close. Like
Yeah.
they pulled out something I genuinely can't remember what it was called in this match, and Excalibur was like, "Oh, one deep in the wheelhouse of the Young Bucks," and I've seen a fucking ton of Young Bucks matches. I've never seen him do it before. Obviously, Excalibur has because he was there for all the PWG. So he's like, "Oh yes, I recognize that," and I'm like, "Could not fucking tell you." But it does not surprise me that there is a surprise, 15th Young Bucks move that I don't know because these boys are the best tag team of all time. And what more can you say about it?
Yeah, for sure. So this was a really great match. It ended in pretty much the way I thought. They Takeshita got the victory with the Raging Fire and pinned Kyle O'Reilly. I figured that's pretty much what would happen. But then we got to an interesting angle. Adam, do you want to talk about it?
Yeah. So after the match, the Young Bucks are still in the ring, having won, and Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland already confirmed to have been facing the Young Bucks at All In. Sort of run down. They've got a match after this. They clear him out, and they had challenged on the previous week's Dynamite to put the EVP titles on the line, so that the people can get the power back. Not that I fully understand the reasoning there. I think they would have been much better just saying so that you can't be pricks and run the show anymore. But that's neither here nor there. And the Bucks said no, which why wouldn't they? Because they have, like Matt rightly pointed out, they have no incentive to say yes. Why would we just put our titles on the line like that? And so Will Ospreay, in a heat of the moment situation, said that if if we beat you, you are no longer executive vice president. If you beat us, however, then Swerve and I cannot challenge for the AEW World Championship for 1 calendar year. And as soon as I heard that, I was like, "Oh fuck!" Because I had previously, before that was announced, I had been like, "Right, okay, the Swerve and Osprey are winning then." And that's a really good way to take the EVP titles off of the Young Bucks, turn them face, so that they don't have that lingering cloud of, well, we're the authority, which is an inherently heelish trait. I thought, right, perfect way to do that. And now they've added that caveat. I'm like, oh, fuck, I have no idea how this is going. In the moment, I was like, right, okay, that means the Bucks are winning then. Because you don't just drop that, as a stipulation and not follow through with it. Anyway, I'm interested to hear what you think.
Yeah, I mean, I was totally on the Bucks side when they were like, "No, why the hell would we do that? That makes absolutely no sense." And I was talking to somebody before, and on the Discord about it, and I think it's easy to say that it seems off balance when you look at the timetable, right? Because the Bucks are losing the EVP titles presumably forever. And these guys would only be able to not challenge the titles for a year, right? Just the world title, too, not any titles. By the way, somebody in WWE, I won't name names, has got to be kicking himself right now for
Why
not picking this one. But anyway,
didn't I
uh,
put a time on it?
I know. What a dumbass. Anyway, um, so the kind of guy who would get a neck tattoo, am I right? Anyway,
Mm.
um, yeah, I mean, but I think you got to look at the content of it. The world title is such an important thing for Swerve and Osprey. It's like their main focus. And this organically keeps them out of that world title picture for a whole year. You can do so many cool things. You can run back Kenny or Okada. You can have them win the tag titles, which I think is the plan down the line. Maybe have them beat Christian and Nick. I think you could do a lot of cool things. You could have them both fall out with each other. One of them could turn heel. There's just so many cool things you could do that don't have to revolve around the world title. And yes, it would get rid of two big challenges to Hangman, but Hangman's already fought both these guys, right? And you can hold off on
Mm.
Osprey. I don't think you need to run that back so soon. So I'm officially okay with our EVPs being EVPs for a little longer. I also think it would be better if, from a storyline perspective, if you get elite drama involved and you get a unified champion Kenny and a world champion Hangman taking on the Bucks, and like, I don't know,
Oh
putting
my
something of
god.
theirs on the line, and then having them retire the EVP title from the Bucks.
Yeah, and then it's like you have a perfectly organic. Oh my god! Now I'm sort of booking myself into sort of Wembley thing. Where if you do that, you have a perfectly organic storyline of like, well, Kenny and Hangman were able to get it done against the Bucks and Ospreys with Wood. So then
Right.
spinning off into like Wembley next year, you could have Hangman versus Osprey for the title again. Maybe sort of. I don't know. You can't really run that face versus face. Or you could have I don't know. You could do Hangman versus Osprey, or even Swerve versus Hangman again, and Osprey versus Omega again. Like those are just four men that there is absolutely no combination of them that won't put on an
You know what,
incredibly
Adam?
a
Fuck it.
stellar match.
Four-way match, put both belts on the line. Let's go. Main event.
Yeah,
Just throw it all
some
into a pot. You got a stew going at that point. You
and
got a stew going.
somehow Mercedes wins.
That's right. Let's go. Or the male equivalent, Beast Mortos wins. By the way, speaking of the Beast Mortos, look at that. Look at that.
Oh,
Heroes versus villains
incredible!
tag match. Swerve Strickland and
Yeah,
Will Ospreay versus LFI,
yes.
Listico, and Beast Mortos, aka we're not winning because Roosh is not here for some mysterious reason.
I know, it's like, oh, Will Ospreay, Swerve Strickland, the Beast Mortos, Dralistico. Um, but I don't dislike Dralistico. He's a good wrestler. He's in fact a very good TV wrestler. He is also far and away the weakest member of LFI.
Yes.
Um, so I do sort of wish that this had been Roosh, but God knows what's going on with that man. He's probably off, I don't know, kicking a panda or something. Crazy fucking madman that he is.
Um,
But
but yeah, this was a great match. But I have been reflecting on what Adam said, and I think he's right. You could have gotten rid of or had a different team and made this a squash match. I don't know how I feel about them being Dralistico and Beast Mortals. Not that it's terrible booking or anything even remotely close to that, but I don't like seeing LFI lose. I think you should be building up LFI as serious contenders, but they don't really do that unless Roosh is involved. So whatever.
yeah,
Um,
you could have had this be like, I'm trying to think of sort of an undercard tag team that you could have put in this position. I don't want to say the frat house because God knows we don't need to go through that discourse
no.
again. Um, or someone sort of outrunners-esque that you can put in this match. A local talent. It's SoCal. There's got to be so many local tag teams that you could put in this match. Have it go like 2-3 minutes, get their shit in, but eventually, it comes with a Stars Clash at a house call like it did in this match. But you could shave sort of 5-6 minutes off this match and give 3 minutes to the women at the start and 3 minutes to the men at the end, and this would be a better paced show. Not to say that this show wasn't really well paced. For my money, it's like top 5 Dynamite of the year, which in any other year would mean a really really good show. This year it means like an absolutely incredible show because Dynamite is consistently excellent with flashes of all timer status this year. Still inordinately mad at you that you were at Spring Breakthrough.
Yeah, it was great, except for that guy next to me who kept yelling about Mercedes. But other than that, it was great. Uh, but yeah, this was
Some
really
people just need
fun.
to be
I think
shot.
my one and only takeaway from this match was the awesome, uh, tag team match, like combos that Osprey and Will both had. Osprey and Swerve both had. The Styles Clash into Strickland's house call.
Even
The fucking
Yeah, even more impressive than that. The swerve stomp into
Stormbreaker
the
and
Stormbreaker.
Stomp, yes.
See, to me, all these incredible tag team moves, and it's not the only one that they've done. I forget what they've done before, but there was something. I think it was like maybe a house call hidden blade. All that says to me is that this is a tag team with so much meat on the bone that you have to keep them as a tag team. Put them in the title picture. Fuck it, have them win. They are such a brilliant, a brilliant organic tag team with preternatural chemistry. They're just excellent. Keep them where they are. Breathe that life into the tag division with arguably, this might be controversial, your two biggest stars. I know some people will say Hangman or Kenny. I don't know, man. I think it might be Swerve and Osprey.
They got to be up there for sure, at least in that conversation. I want to shout out Dralistico's Destroyer, by the way, which looks super good, and Mortis' Spear looks really good as well.
If I
This
said,
was
if
a
I
this was a sorry, go ahead.
no, if I said the number, like the list of people that Beast Mortos has a better spear than, I would start World War Three. Um, I'll just say this. I'll say some people that he doesn't have a better spear than. 1998 Goldberg and Rhino. Apart from that, it's at least up for debate. Certainly, fucking Jey Uso.
So yeah, this was great. Another huge match for the Beast Mordos since a few weeks ago. Moving on, nothing to see here. AW I'm just kidding, by the way. Main event time. I was not nervous at all, Adam. How about you? Definitely no nerves at all for this one.
Nope. I was stoic. I was seated. I was doing my breathing exercises. Dory, I was absolutely fucking bricking it for this match.
Yeah.
Like, I've been nervous for matches before, but that's usually because of the stakes. Like I was nervous sort of pacing the room before Hangman versus Osprey, like at Double or Nothing, but that was because of the stakes involved and the direction, of the division going forward. This match, I was nervous because I thought the worst case scenario here is that one of the greatest wrestlers of all time breaks his fucking ankles again on national television. Or, Kazuchika Okada takes an errant punch and absolutely snaps his nose in half. Like, this could have gone so many different so many different wrong ways. Because these two men are especially in Ibushi's case, fucking madmen. And especially together. Like, I don't know whether you've seen their Wrestle Kingdom match in 2020. They beat the ever-loving fuck out of each other for like 35 minutes. And it's one of the best matches I've ever seen. And I thought if they can recreate half of that, I will be an incredibly happy boy. But also, don't kill each other because Kota has only just come back, and he looked really great last week against Trent Barretta. And I thought if we can unlock some of that magic here again, then I will officially declare Kota Ibushi to be back. And guess what, Dory? Come on, guess what?
What?
Kota Ibushi is fucking back.
And he's gone, and he's come back from the Brian Danielson school of selling. I mean, he probably was already there for years, but he has renewed his membership and recently come back from taking some lessons from Brian Danielson. Brian, I'm always in perpetual hurt and 5 seconds away from retirement, but not quite yet. And also can definitely take bumps for Blue Panther if I want to. But yeah,
I mean,
he
not only that, not
yes.
only that, I feel like he has learned from a much closer person to him, another disciple of the Brian Danielson school of selling, which is the Kenny Omega diverticulitis school of selling,
as well.
where it's
As well as
where it's
that,
just like
yes.
where it's just like I think Kota as well as Kenny have realized that they have an inordinate capacity to make people very fucking nervous about them, and they're just
Yes.
like, right, we're gonna milk that for all
Oh,
it's
some of the
worth,
bumps.
baby.
And Kim doesn't know some of the backstory. So it's like fucking 9:45, 9:55 at night, and I'm yelling because Ibushi's taking these basic ass bumps. I'm like, no, no, please don't do that. And she's just like looking at me, and I'm like, he has so many neck issues.
I saw a tweet where it was like basically the entire story of the match was like, oh, he's back. I never doubted the golden star. Oh my god, Kota, don't do it, don't do it, fuck me.
Yes, exactly.
It's just like, oh, he's incredible, he's phenomenal, he's going to the top rope. Oh no, please, fuck me, don't do it.
Well, it's like that fucking meme where it's like we're so back, we're so back. Oh no, it's over. We're back.
Yeah,
No, it's over.
there was a point during this match where he teased the Phoenix Splash,
Yes,
which I don't know whether you know the backstory, but that
I
is
do. And I've
that
seen
is the
him do it
move.
in some training videos, so I really did think he was going to do it. I don't know that he
Yeah,
actually ever does it again, but yeah.
yeah. For those of you that don't know, um, in the last match that he had before one he got injured during the match, which funnily enough was against Okada. In the final of the G1, he goes for the Phoenix Splash, lands very awkwardly, completely separates his shoulder, and was out for a good 2 years. So when he goes up to do that, I'm like, you better fucking not. My stomach is already in a complete insectarium of butterflies right now. Please, for the love of God, do not do this to me, and more importantly to yourself. But thankfully he didn't. Okada stopped him. But that still didn't stop them from doing some absolutely crazy shit in this match.
Yeah.
Uh,
You know what's
Most of
really
all,
sad is that both Ibushi and Saya Kamatani both hurt themselves on the Phoenix Splash, and now both of them pretty much won't do it again. Was it Saya or was it or it was Tom Knock? No, it was with Tom Nakano, but I think Saya was the one who tried to go for the Phoenix
um,
Splash and landed awkwardly. Anyway, whatever. It's not super important, but I was just thinking
I
about it.
I think it is. I think it is Saya Kamitani because isn't she?
Yes.
No, she's the Golden Phoenix, isn't she? So
Right, right, right. So it makes sense, right? Yeah. So
yeah.
she doesn't do that move as much, if at all, anymore. I haven't really kept up with her, but um anyway, this was awesome. The fucking Okada hit that DDT on the floor. And I was like, no, no, no. And then he did it like, ah. And then
But uh,
Ibushi, the striking was so good here. The standing moonsault looked so good. The running knee almost
mm,
got the win for him. Uh, and then, as we talked about earlier, the top rope tiger driver from the
yeah,
top.
which like
I what?
like fair play, right?
Yeah,
Obviously, this was a crazy thing for Kota Ibushi to do. Kazuchika Okada is wrestling. I don't want to say the biggest match of it's not the biggest match of his life, but it's up there. It's Okada versus Omega. in a stadium in America. It's one of the biggest matches of his life. Certainly the biggest AEW match of his career. And 10 days before it, he takes a top rope flip bump, an inside flip bump, if you get what I mean. An inverted
Right.
flip bump, which can go absolutely horrifically bad. Because if you under rotate that by even a degree, you land right on your neck. Like, absolute madness.
Yeah.
To
No, I mean that was the
execute that.
plan by Ibushi, by the way. That was just the plan.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But there's so, oh my god, these men.
People in the crowd are
the-
like, Ibushi, don't do it. You'll land on your neck. Ibushi's like, really? And he's like, yes, let's go.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
I've seen clips since, right, of when Ibushi does something, sort of that he used to do back in his prime, and you can see Okada. He's clearly, trying to sort of heal it up or whatever, but he's cheesing the fuck out because you know that those two men have an absolute inordinate amount of love and respect for one another, and it must absolutely warm Kazuchika Okada's heart that Kota Ibushi is back. He's rolling back the years, and there's a moment where Ibushi turns into, as people will say, murder Ibushi. Where Okada hits him one too many times and the mask falls off or the mask comes on, I should say, and Ibushi's just like, yeah, no, nothing can hurt me now. I'm gonna kill you. But you can see that Okada should be sort of like begging off and oh my god, what have I done? But he can't help himself. He's smiling because he's like, oh, here we go. He's back. My friend is back doing the thing that he loves, and he's still brilliant at it. Oh, I don't know, warm my heart.
Yeah, this was good stuff. I am cautiously stepping. I was already like halfway out, but this is me. This match has cautiously made me step out of the I'm worried about Ibushi and not sure if he can still go into the okay, I think we're fully back. Ibushi can go. He's never going to be like pre-pandemic Ibushi, maybe. I don't think he will be, but he's
There
a
were
rough approximation of that.
there were sparks in this match where I was like, I've seen that before. That is 2018, 2019 Kota Ibushi. I don't think we get there on a consistent basis. I think that the injuries, nor do I think that you can get to that point after the damage that he has suffered. Like I don't ever think that Kenny Omega will be 2018 Kenny Omega again, nor should he be at his age. But I am at the point where I am willing to call it that Kota Ibushi is still a really excellent professional wrestler and still has a lot to give. He sort of he is in the same bracket for me as someone like a Katsuyori Shibata, where it's like I'm thankful that I get to see you wrestle regardless of what you put out, but also I'm really thankful that you were able to put out such a high quality,
Yeah.
on my TV. You know, I'm thankful for whatever you give me, but if you're gonna give me as good as you're giving, like I'm never gonna complain about it.
Yeah.
But obviously, it's early days. If he can continue the progress that he has shown, then we're in for a very, very good time.
Agreed. There's a lot of good, even dream matches that
Hmm.
Ibushi could do. So I'm very excited for those to hopefully happen. I hope he paces himself. I know he won't, but I hope that fucking himbo takes care of himself for once in his life. It looks like he has, and shock, surprise, it's finally paid off. But the match ended with the what the just copying my homework. Anyway, definitely not looking at something else. The Rainmaker Lariat. And finishing that up, Don Callis family, of course, attacked. I was very hopeful Kenny would turn up. He did. The Omega and Ibushi came back together with a big
uh,
embrace in the ring. I think something else happened after that, but I kind of blacked out from all of from the incredible gay vibes. This would have been better if it was still Pride Month, but I'll take it.
Pride Month ends, when Kenny and Kota finally kiss. Um, which, by the way, I just wanna say, if Tony Storm and Mina Shirakawa can full on make out in the middle of the ring, Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi can kiss. Like, don't be afraid. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
I
Yeah,
completely agree. I
they
wonder
are.
if they will at some point, but I don't know if I want to fantasy book this. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, obviously only do what they're comfortable with, but also
Right.
they're very clearly comfortable with it.
Right.
So all I'm saying is, do not let any sort of fear of backlash or any, fear of this social conservative bullshit, uh, let you shy away from booking the gay shit, because I guarantee you 95% of the AEW fans are fully on board with the gay shit.
Yep. Absolutely.
And if you're not, then fuck you. I don't want you watching my show anyway.
Exactly.
Um,
But yeah,
but yeah,
that was the show. A really, really great show. I would say, in the upper parts of the top five for me, maybe lower parts of top 10. You know what I mean? It's rankings are hard. But yeah, definitely one of the best dynamites of the year. Looked really good. The flow was really good. I would have had more women wrestle, but that's a perennial issue. And yeah, I was really happy overall with how it went. There's still things to critique, the tag division, but overall
Hmm.
this was solid. We got Ibushi back in 2025. Who fucking thought that was going to happen? So
Not me.
I'm
Not
really
me.
happy. Yeah, I'm really happy overall with what we got.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to briefly talk about Kota Ibushi being back. I remember when he came out a couple of weeks ago. To make with like Mark Briscoe or whatever. And my overriding emotion was, obviously joy that he was back. I remember thinking, oh, he looks like in really, really good shape. But then also thinking, like, that doesn't necessarily translate into being good in the ring. So I was cautiously optimistic based on his look and the little bits of sparring that he did with the Don Callis family in that segment. Then he had the match with Trent Barretta, and I was like, okay, that's better than I was expecting. Keep it going. And now he's had the match that they've been building to since he came back a few weeks ago, and it was everything I wanted. I do wonder whether we get him maybe like in the gauntlet at All In. I don't necessarily think that he'll be in any sort of featured match at All In. I don't think there's much time to build to anything. Um, if he is, it could be with someone like, I don't know. I'm not gonna say Konosuke Takeshita, but like that would be incredible if you wanted to do that, or maybe you can just
Yeah.
do that in the gauntlet. Um, but I hope that he is on the card in Texas in some capacity, just because, regardless of any sort of in ring ability, he is a star that you want on that card, and I want
A
him. I
golden
want him there.
star, if you will.
Exactly. I also want him in Kenny's corner against Okada.
I think Kenny does too, if you know what I mean.
Mm. Yeah, well, don't fantasy book my homoerotic fantasies, Dory.
Sorry, let me go on AO3 for a second here.
Mm. I've already pitched multiple times that one Dynamite they should just allot the full 2 hours to just a Golden Lovers live sex celebration.
Nice.
Yeah,
Well, I
fuck,
know at
fuck,
least one
fuck the
person on the
networks.
roster will have lots of experience with that, so I think he can help out.
Indeed, though, God, I'm not sure I want him to help out.
Just can't have anything, huh? Not even hedging. All right. Uh
Hey,
so so that's been the show. I anything else we want to add, Adam, before we sign off here, before we go even more off the rails?
um, we have been very good at not going off the rails. I think this show we've actually been inordinately focused and non-controversial. So I don't know whether there's anything you want to add to completely derail that right at the end.
Yeah. Fuck Thunder
Uh,
Rosa. No.
yeah, yeah. Do you know what? I've got time. Um, no,
um,
I saw that she's advertised for Collision, and I was like, oh, it's very much a sort of a monkey's paw type situation with Athena and Thunder Rosa, where it's like I prayed for Athena to be on AEW TV regularly,
yeah.
and she is because of Thunder Rosa, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh fuck me running, like,
Yeah.
see this, you've started me off now. It
No,
was being
I think I can.
sarcastic.
I think I can get us back on track, though. I heard this really interesting spoiler about Collision that I mentioned earlier, and I think we could talk about that instead because it would just really push this podcast to the moon. Right into the sky, if you will. You know what I mean?
I would rather stick a cactus up my cock than talk about that man.
All right. Well, I'll let you have that little private party of your own, and we'll sign off here.
Oh, oh God, they're not back as well, are they?
Not to my knowledge. I will see non-public gathering of drinks in NXT in a couple months, unfortunately. So
Oh dear. Well, I mean, every party is a private party down there because they can't get enough fucking people through the door.
oof.
I know. Pew pew, motherfuckers.
That's right.
Uh,
200
and
people.
yeah, well, I mean, Tony fumbled at least. They got that.
That's right.
Um,
Oh
but
boy.
anyway, see, this is what I mean. We got through it non-controversially, and now I'm sticking cactuses up my urethra. Wonderful. Let's sign off there. Um,
Well, at least no more shots fired, and we can sign off safely now.
Indeed, this has been a 99% sane and normal AEW Dynamite review. If you want to cut that last minute out of your brain, I will not hold that against you. But I don't know whether we'll do a Collision review this week. God knows whether we'll find the time. But if we don't, then we will definitely be back on the air next week for the go home episode of Dynamite before y'all in. I imagine we'll also have at the very least a review show for y'all in. I don't know whether we'll manage to get a preview and a prediction show going. I hope so. I'd like to, but we'll see how busy people are. But at the very least, thank you for joining us for this one. Like, comment, subscribe, do all the things. I'm not going to sit here and beg. Just, if you liked it, show it to people, and they might like it too. Dory, thank you for joining me once again. Hopefully, we will be joined in celebration of wrestling again next week. Is there anything you wanted to add? Shill, I don't know whether you want to advertise, I don't know, the state of New Hampshire. Fucked if I know.
The state of New Hampshire right now is very polluted because of fireworks, which are also worrying my dog. So I just want to give a nice, healthy fuck you to everybody who's doing that because it traumatizes people, scares dogs, and pollutes the environment. So not a fan of fireworks, and I think they're kind of boring too. So
I quite like them,
I
but
say that just as a bunch go off. So that's my
I know
controversial take.
I did hear them as you were saying. I quite like fireworks, but I understand the negatives.
Yes. But yeah. I am also on a video game podcast. You can go check that out, the Gaming Lounge. Look up Sebastian Cardoni. He's my friend who runs the channel. And yeah, we'll be back next week. I doubt we look at Collision, but maybe if we do.
Do you
But yeah,
you
some
do you chill this podcast on there?
I don't usually. So
You
I mean I
you
could.
you bitch! You freeload on my time. You shill your own
You
shit, and you
offered
don't
it.
even.
You offered it.
You
Um
fucking twat. Anyway,
I knew you'd get on me about that. But anyway, and also exciting news about All In is that Kim will not be able to watch it live. But I am dedicated to the cause, so I will still be watching it live, and then I will go back and watch it again with Kim. So God, I hope this pay-per-view is good because otherwise, I'm in for a bad time. But I think we're looking pretty good so far. So we'll see you next week,
There's
and I'm excited.
there's a floor of excellent for All In. I'll put it out there.
Yeah.
With like a 10% chance that they absolutely blow the finish. But we are not flinching. Hangman is winning, and I'm going to do the outro again because we fishtailed out of it for like a good 5 minutes. Um, but yes, go like, comment, subscribe, share it around. Thank you to Dory once again. This is all
Yep.
sounding a bit familiar, isn't it?
Yes.
And
Never
thank
say
you.
that we stayed on target for a podcast. Else, what? Otherwise, we'll just put it all at the end.
I really did curse it when I was like, yeah, we actually did this pretty sane and normal, didn't we?
Yeah.
So yeah, fuck. Goodbye, everybody. I guess. Thank you again, and see you next week. Bye.
Bye.